This is Elden Ring Nightreign, and I thought we would do a bit of a review, thoughts, and or discussion of the network test. So, Elden Ring Nightreign, is it any good? I don't know, let's dive in and talk about it. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So I've been playing a bit of this across the different platforms. I've tried it out on Series X, PlayStation 5 Pro, and the Series S. So this is for, just because I'm playing it on here so it looks the best, we are here on the PlayStation 5 Pro. I might switch up the different quality versions while I'm playing, in terms of like targeting frame rate, targeting resolution, but mostly we'll just keep it on the performance mode for the sake of, well, better performance, so it's more pleasing. So this is a game where I'm really intrigued by it. So essentially what they've done, if you're not familiar with this at all, is it's a mismatch of like Elden Ring, Dark Souls stuff in a 3-player cooperative expedition experience that kind of gives off the vibes of a rogue-like. So the loop here is that you go in on these expeditions, and I'm theorizing, are we gonna, we're not gonna attack the horse? Oh, okay. Or are we? Yes, we are, okay. And I'm theorizing that the long-term plan here is that you will essentially go on different expeditions that are on different maps. And that's kind of the vibe I got from taking a look at sort of the menu kind of going into it. It's like, it basically start your expedition. So I'm theorizing there's going to be different maps in the full game, and that's going to be kind of the, there's going to be enough variety. Otherwise, it would kind of get maybe a little stale. And every expedition, you come in as a group of 3, you're level 0, and you have to quickly kill enemies in rounds that are kind of like 15-ish minutes. I've sort of timed them down to. And then from there on, if you do survive, you go into the next day. And then it kind of repeats, and you keep sort of going through the days. And you stab each other to heal each other, because, that makes sense in Elden Ring, right? But yeah, you're kind of like improving yourself. And the danger is basically increasing. So you're just sort of killing, bosses and regular Elden Ring enemies and stuff like that. Maybe a little bit of Dark Souls stuff in there too, but you're killing them, and then, you're just kind of progressing and trying to see how long you can sort of survive. And that's an interesting concept. And then you're getting rewards. I got one-shotted? Oh, come on. You're getting rewards based on how well you do. And then those rewards are things where it's like a bit of a roguelike mechanic, where you are able to carry forth these things for your particular class into your further future battles. And the system, like, obviously there is a question of like how extensive this is going to be. I'm sure they could make it really intensive, maybe armor, stuff like that. Who knows? It's a network test, right? So we don't know the full scope of it yet. Very much looking forward to the full reviewing of this, as to say. For the final release. Not too far off. Stay tuned. And yeah, so it seems like you're basically building up your particular class. And there are the different classes. So there's like, at least so far, we know of these classes. And then there's like a mage, there's the Duchess, who does a little bit like lighter but quicker movement, and there's a mage. Where is the Grace here? Ah, yes, right over here. So you kind of build up these classes. It'd be interesting if you can like customize the armor. Maybe they're gonna like sell that stuff. It's hard to say. And it's something that is intriguing here. To kind of get it, because I'm trying to get an idea of like where it's going, what it's doing in terms of, the game, and I'm trying to lay out what the game is to you, because this is not something I would have ever anticipated them to do for Elden Ring as a game like this. Something that I would say is much more accessible, and we'll roll back around to this, than anything they've done thus far in kind of the Elden Ring, even Dark Souls, I don't think had anything like this. So it's genuinely fascinating from that perspective. So yeah, you have the build-up of your units, and you can switch to different classes. So I guess that's a little bit of extra potential grinding if you want to be like, oh, I want to level up my mage, or oh, I want to level up this. And who knows, maybe over time with this possibly being like a live service thing, you could potentially add different classes and different combos in. And we're going to have to wait and see how they play around with that, right? But yeah, you kind of just go around fighting bosses, doing light little things in this mismatched world of these places that are familiar but also a little different, and then you are attempting to survive. If you die, you lose a level, and you have to build that back up. And you're just trying to be as tough as you can so that you're not, you know, getting destroyed later on. And it is about co-op effort, although it does not seem to fully embrace the co-op at the current point in time in terms of how you talk or interact with one another. But the idea is there for them to do that kind of thing and push co-op a little bit more. It is also funny though, because I've noticed most teammates, they just they go off and do their own thing, which is fine, but it is kind of funny because you are going to likely do more when you are together doing stuff, fighting things. It's a genuinely neat concept as far as playing together. It does seem like some of the style of Elden Ring is kind of lost in the process. Like, I would say from a perspective, if I was wanting to play with a friend that knows they would not be good enough to play, like Elden Ring is too hard, Dark Souls is too hard, can't get into this type of game, this is the game you would play with them, because it is just so much more genuinely accessible than anything I've seen in this franchise. Like, you scale walls unbelievably fast. You, like, there's not the fall damage. You just jump down, you know, you can fly up in the air really quick. It's unlike anything I've seen in the series, because it's more like it reminds me of, like, Shadow of Mordor or whatever, Shadow of War, the Middle-earth series, where you basically, it's like that one I call Assassin's Creed on steroids, because you like scale walls and you move super fast and you're super intense. So this is something where it's like, it almost would give someone the wrong impression of what Elden Ring is, because this doesn't really play like it. Which I am pondering, and I haven't really heard any feedback from the hardcore crowd. I'm just like, I really am curious, just like, how people that are really, really intensely into Elden Ring feel about this, because it is so far removed from the regular gameplay. I would say from a personal perspective, this is like one of those multiplayer test things that some companies do to like reuse assets and stuff into making a quicker game, kind of like X Defiant was, where you know, a lot of the time this sort of thing would just get axed on the cutting room floor. Like, it would just be like, all right, we'll try it out, and then they would just be like, nah, this doesn't really work. Or because my question is, like, what is the gameplay loop here that keeps you playing this? Like, if this was attached to Elden Ring, you would do it as like a secondary thing, but as like its full own game, I do ponder, like, what exactly keeps me playing this. I guess it's sort of a nice little thing for the hardcore fans of Elden Ring, if they like this style of gameplay, that they could just sit here and just play this over and over and over and over again, and it might keep you at bay until the next Elden Ring project, because I'm sure we're going to get to a point where they're trying to pump out stuff for this yearly, it seems like. But, like, I do really ponder what, you know, what keeps you playing this, because this is the kind of thing where I'm like, oh, cool, it's fun, it's whatever. I stream it, I review it, and then I just move on from it, because I don't really know what would be keeping me in this. It's not like Elden Ring, where you get like tons of hours of gameplay in Elden Ring, because that game is so brutally difficult that it demands you, if you do want to like actually finish Elden Ring, like, you have to put your time into that game. It demands it if you want to finish it, and then you can replay it too if you can't get enough of it, and do different classes and different things. It lends itself better to the replayability, the recycling loop concept, whereas this game, it's got that multiplayer loop, but, like, is the loop going to be addictive enough to kind of actually be like, oh, I'm playing this a lot? Like, I'm having fun. I'd say this is good, it's enjoyable, but I do think it's something where I kind of go, oh, you know, I'm having a good time with it. and then as soon as I finish it, I'm like, I don't think I actually bought that, did I? No, I didn't. Once I finish it, I would just like, you know, I'd be like, okay, cool, and then I don't think I'd ever try it again, and it's like, I do, oh, I only have, no, I have 18,000, why can't I buy the smithing stuff? Oh, it's because I don't have space for it. Oh, there we go, that would explain it. And I just kind of sit there and I'm just like, what is that thing that keeps me playing this? What is that angle of this? And I don't know if this game quite has that loop. And it's not like quite variable enough. It's neat because you're pushing inwards and stuff like that, but it would be cool if as you got pushed inwards, the map kind of like changed instead of just the day kind of like resetting, as to say. That would be kind of cool. I don't know, like... I'm more really in the boat for this game, sitting there kind of being like, what is the loop of this? I need to see more. That's what I really need, and that's the whole point of waiting to like review like a full game, right? But like, what, you know, what more are they going to do for this game that's going to really make it more enticing? Because it does really feel like it's just kind of like, okay, we're just... you know, sort of asset, oh, I wasted that. What? You know, we're just asset swapping this, and it's like, okay, cool, but, you know, am I getting the value out of this game as, like, a fan that is hardcore about it, that can't get enough of Elden Ring? And I don't know if that's really here. I think it's fun. I think it's engaging enough. I think it's enjoyable enough. I like the loop of it. I sit here, I'm like, wow, this is really crazy. This is like anything I've seen. But is that going to be something that shoves away the hardcore crowd, being like, well, this is unlike anything I've seen, and I don't like this because this isn't the Elden Ring experience that I know and love. And I could sit there being like, yeah, I totally see that vibe. And I could also see casuals being like, oh, it's just kind of a silly melee fighting kind of end-going thing, because there's not really live service melee games that are super successful. There's like For Honor, but you know, and is this like a genre that's going to really pick up? What's going to be like the demand on this to like keep supporting it? Like, are they expecting this to be like a big live service push game? Are they, you know, what is the driving force behind this? So like, I think it's really kind of a balance of like, is this a good game, which is kind of what I'm sort of basing my thoughts and premise on, or is the potential for this good? You know, it's fine, it's solid, gets the job done. I don't know if it's enough for me, personally, considering, you know, as begrudgingly as I sat there and I worked through all of Elden Ring and its big deals, like expansion, everything like that. I did get it done, I do have an understanding of it. And I'm just like, you know, what exactly are you getting from this that, oh, that's not good. Oh, no, I'm back up. That you're, what is this filling that the regular game, you know, isn't providing to you? And I'm just kind of curious if that is enough to make this exciting. Like, it's fun, like, I'm having a good time, I'm sitting here mashing through bosses that would typically, like, decimate me, and the battle royale concept to it is kind of interesting, because the first thing I saw when the ring was shrinking, I was like, oh yeah, this is like a battle royale. You know, are they going to do like event things? Like, it's, you know, right now it's 3 players working together. Could they potentially do like a 3v3 thing where you're sort of fighting and there's like a middle, like, kind of like grief mode in Call of Duty, if you remember that from back in the day? There was like a grief mode that kind of existed where you were, you know, competing, but you were still, and there's zombies in the middle, but you were still not necessarily directly fighting. Could they go in that direction with this? It's a really hard one to kind of grip because it's so distinctly different, but also distinctly familiar. I don't know. I'm really sort of on the fence of this one personally. Because it's kind of like, you know, this is a full-scale cost effort, everything like that, or I guess a little slightly minor, but, you know, they're expecting a full dive into this, and I'm kind of just being like, it's fun, but, you know, this is the type of fun that keeps you going for a long time, and I don't see the game time, I don't see the full value that I was sort of seeing when I play Elden Ring. Where, again, not necessarily the biggest fan of how much that game was like emotionally decimating me as I worked through it. There's some really fun streams on the channel if you've missed me playing Elden Ring. It's quite an interesting venture, but yeah, it's just like when I look at this, I just look at a lot of like oh, it's like, oh, remember this, remember that area, oh, that's cool, oh yeah, this spot's neat, they included this in this, but then I look at it and I'm like, well, I already experienced all of that, and, you know, this is kind of like lacking the depth. Like, it's fun, I could actually sit there and I could have a couple friends that aren't into Elden Ring maybe playing this, but I guess if they're not into Elden Ring, they're probably not going to play like an Elden Ring spin-off. Unless I could persuade them being like, oh, you know, if you've ever wanted to try Elden Ring or get into it maybe, this is like an entry point or something adjacent to it, and maybe you could even say it's, I wouldn't really dare say Monster Hunter-like, but, you know, you're kind of fighting creatures together. And then there's the perspective of like, I don't know if this has the depth that regular Elden Ring has, right? Because you're doing preset classes. So far, you're not really able to change weapons. It's like, you know, because a lot of Elden Ring, when I play it, I've got my horse, I got my little jellyfish shield, you know, I've got weapons that I've selected. And I know there's lots of other people out there that have certain builds or certain setups or certain things that they've put together. And, you know, that's not, did nobody get the ultimate against this thing? And that's just not something that's, like, part of this game in its current iteration, and I'm just curious if that's really gonna detract from people's intrigue, just being like, well, I can't play this like how I normally play it, it's like, stripped down. There's a lot they got to prove, and that's where I was kind of going to the point where I'm like, a lot of other companies might not try to pull this off, because they would just kind of be like, oh, maybe the fans wouldn't like that you're just sort of doing like a bit of an asset flip thing. But maybe they've really cracked like a fun, crazy angle that like just taps into that Elden Ring player base to such a degree that fans are just like, this is exactly what I need. I think it's more like turning, like getting the tides ready for players to be like, oh, I'm waiting for my next taste, my next fling of Elden Ring. And then you're sitting here being like, oh, this is, you know, this is perfect. This is exactly what I've been waiting for. Give me more of games like this, and maybe that's sort of what the setup is. So mostly curious to see what people attack Cleaver. Nice. Mostly curious to see what the big fan response is going to be, whether or not other people think it's good. Because I think it's fine, I think it's solid as a game, but I do think that I also bring up really good points that others may feel as well, where it's sort of like, you know, is this kind of enough? Is this going to be interesting enough? Where are they going to take this down the road? Is this something that's going to evolve, or is it just kind of what you get at launch is what you get? Are people going to keep playing this? Because, like, it's based for 3 players. If, you know, you get to a point where there's not players, can you even, like, engage with this, really? That's the question for all live service games, right? Even if maybe you don't think of this as live service, it's a multiplayer game. You know, it needs players to be enjoyed, and people are going to be able, like, they're going to be expecting to play it with others, right? There's going to be that, oh, I need other people to play with, and I'm just kind of, like, curious if this is going to take off. It's fascinating, honestly. Like, it is a genuinely fascinating attempt to do something different and intriguing, but I am curious if this sort of game has, like, an audience that really is going to kick with it. And I can't wait to find out, honestly. I'm really, really curious here, because there's a part of me that says, you know, this is the sort of thing that you just, like, cancel and don't really release, and there's a part of me thinking, like, there's a game that can kind of get this, like, a franchise that can get this cooking. I think it's, like, Elden Ring that could make this become a whole new little thing, because people love this franchise. It looks like it plays like it, it's clean. There's some technical issues, especially, like, you know, on PlayStation with some of the textures. And the performance level isn't the best, and Prior Time's quality is a little, you know, performance-wise not the best, but yeah, I'm really, really curious to see where this goes. That's the biggest thing. Is I think there's endless potential right now with this, and it's more going to come down to the full package, and hopefully I'll review it and talk about it and showcase it here, so stay tuned. And of course, lots of other Elden Ring, more extended looks at this too on the channel, so you get a full encompassing look at what this game is offering. Here, yeah, can't wait to see it.